Thunder. Introduced by Paul Herbert Poirier, translated by Marvin Meyer. The tractate entitled Thunder or Thunder Perfect Mind is a kind of anomaly in the Nag Hammadi library. It belongs to none of the literary genres attested in the collection. It features no known Gnostic entity, and it has neither a narrative nor a didactic frame. The Nag Hammadi text it resembles most closely are three forms of first thought in the Hymn of the Savior, at the end of the longer version of the Secret Book of John. Thunder takes the form of a discourse, composed for the most part of self-predictions. In the first person singular, Coptic, Anak, or Greek, Emi, interspersed with exhortations and reproaches addressed to an unidentified audience. The speaker remains unnamed, but many features in the text show that the person or entity speaking is a feminine being. This characteristic explains why the tractate was at first compared with the Isis eretologies, the self-proclamations in which the goddess Isis presents herself and lists her feats, or with the public address of female wisdom in the Jewish scriptures, Proverbs 8:4-36, or Sirach 24:3-12. But these parallels remain only partial. That was a Kanye West song too. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing it. Sirach. The genre of thunder is rather to be defined according to the opening statement of the speaker. I was sent from the power and have come to those who contemplate me, and am found among those who seek me. These lines evoke the kind of discourse by which in ancient societies an envoy or ambassador would introduce himself, name his sender, and state his qualifications and status. The Gospel of John provides good example of such declarations. Despite the absence of a clear literary structure, the text does show some kind of organization. It opens with a prologue, in which the speaker identifies herself and invites her listeners, or readers, to be attentive to her message. And it closes with a final exhortation to hear and learn her words in order to live and not die again. In between, the text is made up of sections, more or less organized, of which the most striking feature is the constant use of contradictory statements. The feminine entity who speaks throughout Thunder presents herself as the first and the last, the only one who exists, and has no one to judge her. She transcends and abolishes all kinds of relationship and dependencies, whether familial, spousal, or domestic. She declares, I am the mother and the daughter. I am the limbs of my mother. I am the mother of my father and the sister of my husband. He is my offspring. Furthermore, the speaker claims two modes of existence characterized by paradox and contradiction. She is simultaneously honored and scorned, whore and holy, despised and professed, foolish and wise. Even if the female speaker of Thunder calls for universal acceptance, being the wisdom of the Greeks and the knowledge of the barbarians, the judgment of Greeks and barbarians. She is nevertheless a precise ethnic identity. She is a barbarian among barbarians. The opposition of Greek and barbarian was well known and used in antiquity. usually a polemical, polemical. People be, hold on. Expressing or constituting a strongly critical attack or controversial opinion about someone or something. Polemical. Here the claim by the speaker to be a barbarian is given a rather positive value, though she is the one whose image is great in Egypt and who has no image among the barbarians, called deaf and lawless, godless and uneducated. That is, deprived of the Greek paieta. She is in reality life and law, and people learn from her, and the many gods of the Greeks manifest her presence. All those contradictory statements are best explained if we hypothesize that the reference to the barbarians is a cryptic designation of the Jews, and the female speaker of the tractate is a metamorphosis of the Jewish wisdom, or Sophia. Like wisdom, the speaker of thunder is a feminine figure who delivers a first-person speech composed of self-predictions and powerful statements, and these must be received and heard. Just like Sophia, the speaker resembles a divine entity, second only to the first principle, to which she alone provides access. But at the same time, she exhibits features that the biblical wisdom traditional attributes to the opposite of Sophia. Folly, the foolish woman of Proverbs 9:13-18, depicted as a courtesan and a prostitute. Proverbs 7:10. Although biblical wisdom gives intelligence and knowledge to the simple, the heroine of our tractate, though providing learning, declares herself uneducated. Such a contradictory statement, and there are many others in the tractate, is best explained if the speaker is seen as a drastic reinterpretation of Jewish wisdom. But there are in the biblical sapential tradition elements that anticipate the paradoxical portrait of the speaker. Wisdom knows how to talk on the tortuous. Wisdom knows how to walk on tortuous paths and to torment her listeners by her discipline in order to test them. She dwells in the highest heavens, at the same time walks with the human race. Proverbs 8:30-31. Therefore, the speaker of thunder is a universal radicalization of biblical wisdom, of which the best illustration is perhaps the Simonian wisdom of the pseudo-Clementines, an all-bearing being for whose sake the Greeks and barbarians fought, having before their eyes but the image of truth, while she was with the supreme God. The universalism of the tractate evokes also Plutarch's ideal, who declares that the gods are not to be regarded as different among different peoples, nor as barbarians and Greeks, and as southern and northern. Isis and Osiris, translated by J. Gwen Griffith. Even though thunder is indebted to the Jewish wisdom tradition, there are indications in the text that suggest other backgrounds, either Gnostic, Isaic, or philosophical. First, there is a section of the tractate that has clear parallels in two Nag Hammadi tractates, on the origin of the world and the nature of the rulers. Those parallels are so close that we are compelled to suppose that one tractate is dependent upon the others, or that the three of them draw from a common source. And on the origin of the world and the nature of the rulers, the parallel passages are introduced as a quotation. In Thunder, there is no formal indication of a citation, but the vocabulary of these lines indicates that they are borrowed from somewhere else and introduced into the tractate, probably because of their stylistic similarity to the rest of the writing. Consequently, it cannot be argued on the basis of this common stock that Thunder maintains the same Gnostic perspective as the other two tractates. Nevertheless, our tractate shows obvious parallels with the Gnostic text or doctrines that suggest it could have been composed in a milieu familiar with Gnostic ideas. It has also been suggested that Thunder could be read in the light of the Isis eretologies. In fact, Thunder shares many features with these eretologies. A feminine persona, the self-predictions themselves, and an identical claim to universal recognition. Thunder's speaker is not far from Isis, who in her many forms and differences between Thunder and the Isaic eretologies, the eretologies convey only the positive part of Thunder's oppositions, whereas the speaker introduces herself as the honored and the scorned, the whore and the holy. The Hellenistic Isis is unevocably sacred and blameless, not speaking. Once again, we have a common atmosphere rather than a case of literary dependency. Finally, many elements in Thunder point towards a philosophical model, widely used in the 2nd and 3rd centuries to describe the metaphysical first principles, and especially the second principle, seen as self-generating mind. Like the present tractates, perfect mind, which is both the mother and the daughter, and the mother of her own father. Of course, Thunder is not a philosophical tractate, and its author wishes not only to teach the readers, but also to exhort and convert them. Nevertheless, and despite its prophetic style, the tractate reflects the brand of Platonism, known to us from Porphyr and Iamblichus. The tractate Thunder Perfect Mind, in a Sahidic Coptic translation of another wise lost Greek original. The translation could have been done at any time in the first half of the 4th century. Since the Codex 6 of the Nag Hammadi library, the only witness to the text, was very likely copied and bound in the mid-4th century. Thunder most likely comes from the milieu characterized by proselytizing, and marked by apocalypticism and eschatological orientation. The epilogue of the tractate announces the fulfillment of the words in text, and promises to the listeners a place of rest, where they will find life after their death. The style of the tractate is to be compared with the pagan philosopher Celsus' terms, the most perfect type of prophecy among people of Phoenicia and Palestine. They are many, who are nameless. They are many, he says, who are nameless, who prophesy at the slightest excuse for some trivial cause, both inside and outside temples. And there are some who wander about begging and roaming about cities and military camps, and they pretend to be moved as if giving some ocular utterance It is an ordinary and common custom for each one to say, I am God, or a son of God, or a divine spirit, and I have come. Already the world is being destroyed, and you, O men, are to perish because of your iniquities. But I wish to save you, and you shall see me returning again with heavenly power. Blessed is he who has worshipped me now. Cited in the Origin Against Celsus 7:9, translated by Chadwick. In both Celsus and Thunder, we have a divine envoy who calls to conversation and claims to bring about salvation. This prophetic Melu of Thunder must have been Jewish or at least akin to Judaism. The peculiarity of a form and contents of Thunder suggests, however, that the Jewish or Judaizing Melu must have been marginal. In sum, a Melu open to the literary doctrinal diversity exemplified by Codex VI, one of the most disparate of the Nag Hammadi collection. With its Hermetic, apocryphal, and Gnostic writings, it would not be too daring an assumption to suppose that the Gnostics who gathered the Nag Hammadi tractates included Thunder because they saw in its feminine speaker an evocation of Barbelo, as she appears in three forms of first thought, or the three stells of Seth. The Gnostic Barbelo could easily be reinterpreted in a sapential or philosophical as well as mythological terms. As to the place and date of composition, we are left with no positive indications. The mention of Egypt in Thunder 16:7 points towards an Egyptian Melu, perhaps Alexandria, but this remains hypothetical. The comparison with the excerpt from Celsus cited above suggests that the Greek origin of Thunder might have been composed about the end of the 2nd century, or the beginning of the 3rd. The philosophical background we have evoked hints in the same direction. So, I don't know too much about it. I've read some of this, and I know of the story of Sophia. And it was more or less like a fallen angel that had kind of made her own reality. And then every time, right, it goes back in. And that's why it brings up, like, I am the father of your mother, and that kind of thing, because it's like re-entering the cycle, but she wasn't supposed to start the cycle, because Sophia is wisdom, or written word, which, for us human beings, at least I think, that's like when we started talking. Or when you think about like creation myths, and you have people that are coming and bringing knowledge to these civilizations, like she could have been doing that and giving people written word, and that's what had caused us, you teach people to talk. No other animal talks the way that we do, and I don't think we were talking before we ate the apple, but who knows? I don't know. Maybe the understanding. How could you talk without understanding? But who knows? It does bring up, and we'll get more into it in other books, but the Secret Book of John goes into it. I like the backstory. The Book of Judas goes into it, where like Jesus is saying something to the apostles about how they're like praying, and he's like really getting into them about it, how they're not praying right, and they don't know how they're praying, and Judas is more or less like, I know, the real reason you're here, and the real reason that Jesus was here was to spread the ideas of Sophia, but only he knew that. And it was supposed, at least in my mind, when I heard that would be a more original story, if that makes sense. But like, If Sophia was just a woman at some point walking the earth, as I think many gods are, if not all, right? Besides one that made it all, that actually made it all. There's one, and every other god is just an attempt of a human being to carry on a legacy, right? And I don't know, this is kind of helping. But let's read, right? The perfect mind, get some peace. I was sent from the power, and have come to those who contemplate me, and am found among those who seek me. Look at me, you who contemplate me, and you who hear me. Listen to me, you awaiting me. Take me to yourselves. Do not banish me from before your eyes. Do not let your voice be hateful toward me, nor your hearing. Do not be ignorant of me in any place at any time. Be alert. Do not be ignorant of me. For I am the first and the last. I am the honored and the scorned. I am the whore and the holy. I am the wife and the virgin. I am the mother and the daughter. I am the limbs of my mother. I am a barren woman, who has many children. I have had many weddings. I have taken no husband. I am a midwife. I am a woman who does not give birth. I am the solace of my own birth pains. I am bride and groom, and my husband produced me. I've seen him in a lot like Eve, right? Wouldn't it be some shit, right? If Adam and Eve walking around like two animals, right? Two animals talking to God, and they're just, right, being human beings at the time, right? And then Eve comes back being able to talk. Wouldn't that be something? I am the mother of my father, and the sister of my husband, and he is my offspring. I am the servant of him who fashioned me. I am the ruler of my offspring. He produced me with a premature birth. He is my offspring born on time, and my strength is from him. I am the staff of his power in his youth, and he is the rod of my old age. And whatever he wishes happens to me. I am silence that is incomprehensible, and insight whose memory is great. I am the voice whose sounds are many, and the word whose appearance are many. I am the utterance of my own name. You who hate me, why do you love me? And hate those who love me. You who deny me, confess me, and you who confess me, deny me. You who tell the truth about me, tell lies about me, and you who have lied about me, tell the truth about me. You who know me, be ignorant of me, and as for those who would have not known me, let them know me. For I am knowledge and ignorance. I am shy and bold. I am shameless, I am ashamed. I am tough, and I am terror. I am war and peace. Be attentive to me. I am disgraced and great. Be attentive to my poverty and my wealth. Do not be arrogant toward me. When I am thrown down on the ground, and you will find me in those who are to come. If you see me on the dung heap, don't go and leave me thrown there. You will find me in the kingdoms. If you see me when I am thrown out, with the disgraced in the most sordid places, don't mock me. Don't throw me down violently. With those in need, I am compassionate, and I am cruel. Take care not to hate my obedience, but love my self-control. In my weakness do not disregard me, but do not fear my power. For why do you despise my terror, and denounce my pride? I am present in all fears, and I am strength in agitation. I am a weak woman, and I am well in a pleasant locale. I am foolish, and I am wise. Why have you hated me in your counsels? Because I shall be silent among the silent, and I shall appear and speak? Why have you hated me, you Greeks? Because I am a barbarian among barbarians? For I am the wisdom of the Greeks, and the knowledge of the barbarians. I am the judgment of Greeks and barbarians. I am the one whose image is great in Egypt, and who has no image among the barbarians. I have been hated everywhere and loved everywhere. I am the one called life, and you have called me death. I am the one called law, and you have called me lawless. I am one you pursued, and I am one you seized. I am one you have scattered, and you have gathered me together. I am one before whom you have been ashamed, and you have been shameless to me. I am a woman who does not celebrate festivals, and I am she whose festivals are many. I am a godless, and I have many gods. I am one you have professed, and you have scorned me. I am uneducated, and people learn from me. And I am one you have despised, and you profess me. I am one whom you have hidden, and you appear to me. When you hide, I shall appear, for whenever you appear, I shall hide from you. As for those who have foolishly taken me away from their understanding, from grief and receive me, from understanding and grief, receive me from the low places in creation, and take from the good, even if in a lowly place, from shame, take me to yourselves shamelessly. From shameless and shame, put my members to shame within you. Draw near to me, you who know me and you who know my members, to establish the great among the insignificant first creatures. Draw near to childhood, and do not despise it because it is small and insignificant. Do not make what is great turn away. Take by part from what is small, for what is small is known for what is great. Why do you curse me and honor me? You have smitten, and you have shown mercy. Do not separate me from the first ones, who you have known. Do not cast anyone out, nor turn away anyone. Turn yourselves. I know the first ones, and those after them know me. I am the perfect mind. I am the knowledge of my search, the discovery of those who seek me, the command of those who ask for me, the power of powers through my knowledge of angelic ambassadors, through my word of gods among gods, through my counsel of spirits of all people dwelling with me, of women dwelling within me. I am honored and praised, and scornfully despised. I am peace and war, has come because of me. I am alien and citizen. I am substance and a woman without substance, whose from union with me are ignorant of me, and who sharing in my being know me. Those near me have been ignorant of me, and those far away from me have known me. On the day I am near you, you are far from me, and on the day that I am far from you, I am near you. I am a lamp of the heart. I am of nature. I am of the creation of spirits, and the requests of souls. I am restraint and lack of restraint. I am unity and dissolution. I abide and dissolve. I am decent, and people ascend to me. I am judgment and pardon. I am sinless, and the root of sin comes from me. I am desire outwardly, and within me is self-control. I am hearing adequate for everyone, and speaking that cannot be repressed. I cannot talk or speak, and plentiful are my words. Hear me in greatness, and learn from me in roughness. I am the woman crying out, and I am cast upon the face of the earth. I prepare bread, and my mind within. I am the knowledge of my name. I cry out, and I listen. I appear, I walk. I am the judge, I am the defense. I am the one called justice. By violence is my name. You honor me, you who overcome, and you whisper against me, you who are overcome. Judge before you are judged, because if you are judge in partiality, if you are condemned by it, who will pardon you? Or if you are pardoned by it, who can detain you? For what is within you is outside you, and the one who fashions you on the outside has formed you within. What you see outside, you see within you. It is visible, and it is your garment. Hear me, you listeners, and learn my words, you who know me. I am hearing adequate for everything. I am speaking that cannot be repressed. I am the name of the voice and the voice of the name. I am the sign of the letter and the indication of division. I am light in the shadow. Hear me, you listeners. Take me to yourselves as the Lord. The great power lives. The one who stands will not change the name. It is the one who stands who created me. I shall utter his name. Look at the words of this one and all the texts that have been written. Pay attention, you listeners, and you also, you angels, and you who have been sent, and you spirits who have risen from the dead. I alone exist and have no one to judge me, and there are many sorts of seductive sins and deeds without restraint. Disgraceful desires and fleeting pleasures that people embrace, until they become sober and rise up to their place of rest. They will find me there, and they will live and not die again. So, Sophia, or wisdom, is an interesting concept. Because, like, if you think about the Greeks and barbarians, too, the Greeks were very philosophical. They fought wars and whatnot, but and then the barbarians were just a different type of people. So if you think about the barbarians as like real life experiences, going out and doing stuff, and they lived harder lives, I would assume, but they lived different lives. But the Greeks were more of like classroom learning, and the barbarians were like real like lab work, like real life experience, going out and getting a job kind of thing. And so when you combine real life experience and then classroom learning, you get wisdom, right? You get to know that, like, in the future, if this happens, you're capable of taking care of this scenario and circumstance. And, that's how you build. That's how you show that you're responsible and that you can, help other beings and, understand things and how it works and how everything fits together. And to have that in your mind, right? To know that, like, nothing on earth will ever hurt you, can't get you anything. We're here for God. And I know the way that this is, like, phrased, but if you're a human being and you were, I can't imagine lonely, right? Not a lot of people. Nothing even compared to what we have now. So as far as like guidance, if you're asking for, guidance on what to do in the 21st century, I don't know if you would have survived back then, As you probably have to come up with a lot of this stuff yourself, right? I haven't found a book of just signs other than in the Bible, like the big events. But no one knows. I mean, this idea is not canon of Sophia and Barbello, and that goes into like multiple universes and the aeons, which are like pretty much angels, just created their own universe. And that does kind of fit in with like the angels coming down to earth and creating the Nephilim, which is like, you know, giants, and that wreaked havoc on the earth. Um, but it fits into that same kind of category of, at some point there was something meddling and like molding human beings very early on that we didn't have any conception of other than God, right? And maybe that is it at some point. But then it does bring up human nature a lot, right? And that regardless of anything, right? That human nature, and it's your responsibility to be obedient and hold yourself in control, you know? But who knows? We'll find some peace. This is a long video.